You just pressed play on the Last Breath Huntcast, home of the Huntroversy. We're here to entertain, educate, and engage. And in case you didn't know, you only live once. But if you do it right, once is enough. Don't waste it. Welcome to another episode of the Last Breath Huntcast presented by Badlands Gear. Using the code that we have provided the Inner Circle, which is our Facebook group, you can get 30% off your order that you place next time at badlandsgear.com. Speaking of Badlands Gear, this episode is going to be awesome and directly related to Badlands Gear because we're going to talk to Blake VanTussenbrook, the senior marketing manager over at Badlands today, and he's going to enlighten us on his story, his journey into the outdoor industry, and what brought him to hold his position at Badlands and want to market outdoor products. So it's going to be a really interesting conversation today. That is our topic. Another partner of our podcast is Underwarmer. Using the code LASTBREATH with a space in between those words, capital L and a capital B, you can get yourself $10 off a $12 product at underwarmer.com, which is a heated base layer system you can wear next to skin, thus allowing you to shed a bunch of extra layers when you're out in the field. Additionally, Outdoor Edge, using the code LBTV25, all uppercase, no spaces, you can get 25% off your order at OutdoorEdge.com. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and give Blake VanTussenbrook from Badlands a call. Okay, so on the line right now we have Mr. Blake VanTussenbrook with Badlands Gear. Again, our topic for the episode is who Blake is, how did he get here, and why we think you should use Badlands Gear this upcoming season. So, Blake, first thing we need to know today is who the heck are you, and what is your role at Badlands?
Good question. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. We've been trying to do this for a while, so I'm glad we finally pulled it together.
Absolutely.
It's good to talk to you guys. Been working with your group for a couple years now, and it's been or probably more than a few years now. So it's been fun to get to know the Last Breath group and watch you guys and what you do. It's always entertaining and a lot of fun. So thanks for having me on. But
no problem.
Yeah, Blake at Badlands. I'm the marketing manager there, Yeah, who is Blake and why do I matter? I mean, I don't know. I guess to Badlands I play an important role, but how deep do you want to get into the history of it all? And
I want to go all the way back, man.
Yeah, as far as what I do there, I'm currently the senior marketing manager and have worked my way up in the company like a lot of people do over the years, but you want me to go back now and tell a little bit of how that all came together? Or?
Yeah, I'm really interested because you are kind of an interesting story, I believe. I don't want to speak out of turn or on your behalf or anything here, but I'm fairly certain like you weren't a hunter until you began your time at Badlands, correct?
That is correct, yep.
And that's I feel like that's very non-normative for the outdoor industry. I feel like most of the people get into the industry because it's more of a passion, a lifestyle passion, and they just want to make their passion their work. So they find a niche in the industry and go for it. But that's, a little bit less suspected on your behalf. So take me back to when you were like 18 years old, or whenever you decided, hey, I'm going to go to presumably college and grab a marketing degree, and now I'm looking for a job. Go ahead and take me back to when you were younger and you initially knew you wanted to take on marketing as a career and, why you did that.
Sure. Yeah, so like you kind of mentioned, I did not grow up hunting or in a hunting family. My dad hunted very minimally. I remember he took me once when I was very small. He got heavy into probably in the 80s, late 80s, into like the kind of mountain man rendezvous kind of stuff they do out west here. So where guys are fashioning their own buckskin pants and possibles bags and hunting like legit black powder rifles and stuff. So he was building rifles and doing kind of the mountain man rendezvous thing, and he enjoyed that, but he didn't hunt a lot. So he took me on like one black rifle hunt, and I just remember yeah, just freezing and being pretty miserable. And I was really small. So that's my only memory of hunting. Never went again, never was really exposed to it much for most of my childhood, middle school, high school. I had a couple of buddies who hunted, but I just didn't talk to them about it because I wasn't interested in it really. So yeah, fast forward a little bit to, graduating high school and starting college. Throughout college, I went to Utah State University, and I actually enrolled in more of a communications degree and wanted to be a broadcast journalist. So I kind of wanted to be the guy on ESPN doing the sports, So
Yeah.
I went through the whole broadcast journalism program, commentated, reported, and anchored like the news for the school channel. Had a blast doing that, doing news stories, going all over town, interviews, editing my own videos and stories, putting those on air and stuff. So had a lot of fun with that degree, thinking that's what I was going to do with my life, and graduated top of that class actually, which was, I thought, going to be a great way to get into the business, was show some of those awards and credentials I had received. But
dude, that's awesome. That's like elite level. You graduated like what is that? You're the valedictorian in your graduating college class?
Well, not of the whole class, but I got kind of the top award in the broadcast journalism department. So that was pretty cool.
That's really cool. That's
the problem
awesome.
was I graduated college in 2008, which was a major collapse for the U.S. economy and housing and job market. That's when that kind of crashed down, and we had that big recession. So the whole industry kind of changed, and especially in journalism. And I mean, people who had been working at stations for 30 years were getting let go so that stations could hire part-timers and just do whatever they could to save a buck. They didn't want to pay anybody. They didn't want to cut new contracts. They especially weren't looking really at new blood. So I probably sent out 200 audition tapes all over the country to the smallest markets you can imagine, towns you've never heard of that just had their own news station, trying to get my foot in the door, and it just wasn't happening. So I kind of tried to start pivoting and thinking what else I was interested in and could excel in. I took a couple odd jobs just to kind of pay the bills. I was married at that time, no kids yet, but trying to support a wife, and so took some jobs in like project controls for an oil company and then a mining company. And in the meantime, I started tinkering with more marketing type stuff, doing some freelance graphic design, putting some campaigns together for small local companies, and just trying to build a brand there and kind of build a resume. So I did that for several years actually, and then till I was about 30. And at the mining job that I had, we have a giant copper mine, open pit copper mine out here called Kennecott Copper Mine. It's you can actually see it from space. It's just giant, and they had a huge landslide that filled in a whole portion of the pit, like pretty much a disaster for the company. And they ended up laying off my whole team because we were working on a project that was now going to have to be delayed for up to 2 years while they cleaned the pit out. It was going to be a multi-year clean out. And so all of a sudden I'm kind of jobless, and literally searching kind of the local classifieds, found this job posting for a company called Badlands. And
so was it in the newspaper, or how was that presented, and what?
Pretty much, like,
that's cool.
Our local news station has a website where everybody goes for like it's like our local Craigslist, right? So
sure, yeah.
Everybody in Utah goes to this place for jobs, junk they want to buy, cars, all that kind of stuff. They go to this site. So I knew of the brand sort of because they had a sister brand called William Joseph that made fly fishing gear, and I was big into fly fishing.
Yeah.
So I'd actually been to their headquarters before to buy fly fishing gear, but I'd always seen the Badlands brand kind of off in the corner. At that time, I'd say William Joseph was bigger than Badlands.
Yeah.
So I never paid attention to the hunting stuff. I'd kind of walk right by it on my way to the fishing stuff. And So I applied for that job, went in for a few interviews, kind of clicked with the management team there, and they hired me on as, I don't remember what that initial title was. It wasn't marketing manager or anything. It was a lower level kind of entry marketing thing. And I quickly realized that Badlands was getting to be, if not already, the bigger brand of the two. And most of my time was going to be focused on growing Badlands, and less time was going to be focused on the fly fishing brand. So a bit of a pivot for me. Again, my passion at that time was much more in the fishing side of things.
Yeah.
And so I started to kind of adjust, get settled in, and very quickly I was introduced to kind of the pro staff who was around at that time for Badlands. Started talking to them and getting to know them, and one of the local guys became a pretty good friend really quick, named TJ, and he was pretty adamant about getting a bow in my hand. He was super into bow hunting. That was his passion. He said, "Dude, you got to get into this. You got to try it. I think it will help you in your career. I think you'll enjoy it. I know you're a competitive person." All that kind of stuff. So he got me shooting a bow and entered a winter league like really quick. Felt like I might have been in over my head a little bit, but started shooting a winter league and did pretty well, and just kind of fell in love with archery really quick. And yeah, literally from there, it just kind of started slowly taking over my life, like, yeah, he wanted to get me out on a hunt, so got me in on the Utah mule deer draw and drew a general tag and hunted mule deer for the first couple seasons unsuccessfully. And yeah, from there it just kind of grew, and like I said, has become my biggest passion, something I never foresaw or anticipated, but something I'm very grateful for and have enjoyed every moment of it since. And yeah, as you know, I've had a lot of adventures since then, and haven't fished much in the last 10 years, but I've hunted a whole lot all over the country and world. So it's something I never would have expected, and a path I wasn't expecting to take, but something I'm very grateful for and happy where I ended up.
That's like a Rocky Balboa level story, man. You kept getting knocked down, you kept pivoting, you kept forging your own path. And, I probably speak on behalf of all the people that wear Badlands, but we're glad that you made that transition and just pushed them into the limelight, really, with all the work that you've been doing. I mean, there's incredibly intelligent things and business moves I've seen Badlands make over the last, several years underneath your direct guidance that's just, in my mind, been a next level idea or caliber move. So thank you for doing that. But a couple of questions I had from, your story, and the most pertinent one that I've just been thinking about, like I said, lots of people, they will get into the hunting industry because it's their passion, not necessarily because they're observing it with a fresh set of eyes like you. So do you think that growing up not hunting and being new to the industry when you accepted your job with Badlands gave you a fresh slate in terms of the way you globally view the industry? Meaning, if you're a little guy from Illinois and you're 8 years old and you're watching the Monster Buck DVDs with Bill Jordan and Mark Drury and this, that, and the other, you're going to have a preconceived notion of how the industry, air quotes, pros are doing it. You know what I'm saying? But you just have that really clear vision and can see the industry from an outside perspective. Do you think that that's given you a leg up on some of your competitors in terms of the things that you guys are doing at Badlands, or what's your take on that?
I think so. I think from a business and kind of creation standpoint, yeah, I came in with just a marketing mind and strategy and vision more than a specific let's build stuff for the hunting industry brand. It was more about, okay, we have to let people know the brand exists and make it seem cool, and then tell them that we're making amazing world-class gear and go from there. But yeah, having a fresh perspective, I do think helped a lot, especially not just in the job, but me as a hunter. Yeah, I honestly probably at age 20 something, maybe even 30, couldn't have told you the difference between a whitetail and mule deer. Like I knew very little about that. And And going in, I think it helped me get into hunting and enjoy it because I didn't set too high of expectations. Like you said, the kid that grows up watching monster bucks getting shot all the time might have a skewed perspective on why he's hunting,
Yeah.
or is he just hunting for the trophy or whatnot. And the other big part of that whole thing was I was so naive that I didn't even quite grasp how intimidating it can be to get into hunting later in life.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize at that time that that's fairly rare. I was just kind of like, oh, new
Extremely
hobby.
rare,
Great.
dude.
Yeah, new hobby. I guess I'm picking this up, and great. This is going to be fun. But talking to a lot of other people I've found a lot of other people that have an interest in potentially getting into hunting, the more they learn about it and see that it's a great way to harvest meat, contribute to conservation, do different things like that. But they feel like they're past the point where they can really fully jump into something like that, because it does take, it takes money, it takes skill, it takes a commitment to learn how to shoot a bow or shoot a rifle, handle these things. It takes a lot of knowledge in a lot of states to know how to get the right tag. There's a dollar commitment there. It's having someone probably mentoring you to tell you where in the hell to go, right? It's like,
Yeah.
that can be one of the most intimidating things. Like, okay, I got all this stuff. I can shoot a bow. Now where
Now
do
what?
I go? Where,
Yeah.
yeah. Now what? Yeah. Where do I even take this, and to not be overrun by public or, so yeah, there's a lot of things I think that just deter people from getting into it later in life, to where again, I was so naive. I kind of just jumped into it, and I was lucky to have a couple mentors who jumped in and helped me get set up with a bow, and helped me know what tags to put in for, and literally drove with me to these spots and camped and got me on the hunt. So I try to do that for others when I see somebody who has a desire to get into it. My younger brother, for example, I'm trying to get, or we've started shooting a bow now. We shot a few weeks ago, and that was his first time. And he's the same way. He wants to get into it, but he's intimidated. So I'm just trying to tell him, just mentor him a little bit and help him out, and tell him what he needs to do. And I hope most hunters have a desire to do that. We preach a lot about getting the younger generation involved, but I think there's a lot of people still out there that feel like they can't, that it's too late, and it's not. It's important to remember those people as well, and get them into it, because it's an amazing world full of amazing people and opportunities. So it's just been a ton of fun.
It's definitely 100% a mentorship based entry point into hunting in general. So if you don't have mentors like that, then just make sure, like you said, reach out to people if you're interested in doing that, because, if it wasn't for those great mentors taking you under your wing, do you think that, obviously, you're passionate about it from the second that you began, but without those great mentors, it stands a good chance to say that you or I wouldn't be, at the stage or place in our hunting career, if you want to call it that, than we are today. So I think that's a hell of a good point you break up there, and thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I got another question here for you. So in terms of your marketing gig at Badlands, give the people an interesting idea or a general day in the life of what you do when you get to work, because lots of people, they may know just because they are a salesman themselves, and so they can, empathize and view the world through a salesman's perspective in the outdoor industry, or maybe somebody that goes to a trade show or something like that. But marketing is one of those very abstract things. It's not as concrete as some of the other roles within companies. So what are your day-to-day roles and things of that nature when you actually show up to work, or you're working from home, etc.?
Yeah, it's a great question, and very hard to answer, because my day-to-day is pretty much different from day to day. There are some constants, and yeah, I am typically going into an office every day and plopping down like most people start their day, and check an email, right? So
Yep.
what are the immediate fires to put out, the questions to answer, that kind of stuff. But from there, it can go in any one of 100 directions. So
Sure.
it can be planning a new campaign. For me, I'm heavily involved in the product development department as well. So it can be working with designers on new product and always pretty much daily coordinating with them on what products coming down the pipe, because it's up to me to coordinate the launch plan for that, getting the creative for that, which means photography, videography. I do a ton of writing, so I write the descriptions on the website for products and the bullet points for products. So I spend a lot of time writing.
And a quick note about that too. I feel like when a person lands on Badlands, and I don't know if this was your own personal twist that you put on it, but it's kind of like a sarcastic, witty, funny spin on all the products. Especially, and I just find it to be pretty funny and interesting that your marketing front, your messaging, it seems to all really have the same heartbeat and flow to that tune. And so I've always wondered this, and I'm glad that we're talking about it now because I can finally get the answer. But when you sat down at Badlands for the first time and you were like, what the heck is my vision for this company from a marketing perspective? Is that one of your targets that you tried to hit was, all right, this company needs a voice, and I'm going to give it a funny, witty, sarcastic-esque voice. Was that by design, or how'd you think that up?
Yeah, luckily, Badlands founder, Bill Crawley, actually had already done a good job of instilling kind of that irreverent voice and tone into the Badlands brand, which was something that drew me to it. It already had a pretty unique voice, and I think that's why I kind of appealed to them when they hired me, was they could see that I kind of shared that voice and that creative mind and had a desire to kind of continue that on and maybe take it even a step further, to the point where I've had emails forwarded to me from like our customer service team with parents upset that we have a curse word in one of our pack descriptions that their kids saw, and they're mad at me because I wrote that. So we maybe push it a little far sometimes, but I think I kind of try to take it to that next level of creativity and fun in the writing and just stand out a little bit. And it's not just to be different. It's just kind of how I think and how I think hunting should be fun and creative and different, and it just kind of naturally comes out when I'm writing. So I have a lot of fun with it. I enjoy it. It's gotten harder as we've launched a ton more product than we used to have, but just kind of tying it back into my day to day. I love the writing aspect of it, but yeah, ad campaigns, ad creation. I have a team of creators and people who help with media buying. So where are we going to place ads? What's our Google strategy for Google ads? Going back to the creative, scheduling video shoots. I do the Rack Attack show, and we do other things with video. For example, on Tuesday, coming up in just a few days, I'm flying to Ohio for like a 5-day photo shoot for some of our new Whitetail gear.
Sure.
Right after that, I'm flying to our company property in Georgia to do a turkey hunt and roundtable event with a bunch of guides and get their ideas on gear for a new segment we might enter and things like that. So it's exploring gear ideas, everything marketing, advertising, writing, creative work, graphic design, and then, just a lot of the other stuff that feels very much like work, the budgets and the spreadsheets and the analysis and the analytics is all part of my day every day. So it's a lot of fun. It's very agile. You got to be on your toes and willing to pivot at the drop of a hat and just be juggling literally 100 balls at all times. So if that's something you're interested in, pursue a marketing career.
That's a great point, and I feel like lots of people don't know what the heck a marketing career entails or does during their day-to-day, just because it's kind of so omniscient and so in the background that it's difficult to see. But a couple of things that I really liked what you said about that, going back to like some of the competitors in the space, and I'm going to today, I know Badlands, makes packs and camo. So I know that you guys make other things, but for all intents and purposes, about 90% of your products are one of those two things. And I feel like lots of other companies that are in the same niche have this very serious, more, not saying that Badlands is shows of lack of respect. That's certainly not what I'm going to say, but it's all very, very serious in nature. And I feel like Badlands kind of shines in the regard that all of your guys' marketing material and things like that, the people that you partner with, the messaging that you roll out, I feel like it's always just, like you said, irreverent. And it's funny, and it's interesting to see you guys take that approach and really broke the mold, of the hunting industry message, which is typically a darker, grittier, more badass feel,
I think it all comes back to hunting's supposed to be fun, right? Like,
yeah. Yep.
How many of us forget that to where it becomes more of a competition, or there's just way too much of that aggressive, like, I deserve more than you, I deserve to be in this spot more than you, I'm a better hunter than you type of mentality.
Yep.
To where we just constantly try to remind people that, hey, remember, hunting, we do this because we love it and it's fun. We can't ever forget that. And we don't ever we don't look down on the brands that preach a very like hardcore, like, if you're not hunting hardcore, you're not doing it right type of message, because those are out there.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of want our gear to speak for itself. Like, we feel like the gear we're making is going to take you wherever you want to go and perform as good or better than everything else out there. The gear can tell you that. Our story is going to be, have some fun while you're using the gear. And remember why you hunt, why it's enjoyable. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the dickhead that thinks he deserves to be there more than you. Excuse my language, but
sure.
Yeah,
no, I get it.
Yeah, let's keep it fun. Let's keep it light, and just be good hunters, good citizens, good neighbors and friends, and good outdoorsmen.
That's a heck of a good point too. And in regard to what you said about essentially like wearing many hats in the company, I'm glad you kind of said that, just because there is so much that a marketing director is in charge of. Especially in a company like the outdoor industry. And I feel like a lot of people that are hunters, outdoors men and women, they don't really comprehend how small some of these companies could be. For example, I've got a buddy who runs a trail camera company. It's one of the best in the world. And there's him and about 3 other people that run it. And that's about it. So for Badlands, my last question before I pick your brain on what your favorite role in the Juggalathon is how many people are actually, on the Badlands team, whether it be in the office, customer support, warehouse, etc. Do you think there's less than 50 people company-wide?
Oh, yeah.
Is it less than 15, you think?
Yeah, we had a company, let's call it a party for lack of a better word, 2 days ago.
Oh, nice.
And we took everybody to Top Golf here in Salt Lake just to have a fun afternoon off and have some fun with the team. And we had 14 people there, and that was pretty much Badlands.
There you go. There you have it.
So, yeah, smaller than most people think. I don't want to discount that we do get support from, like, I work with an agency that supports me in a lot of things that I do. There's a team of about 12 people there that I kind of work with, and they support us in a lot we do. We have a warehouse in a different state, so there's warehouse workers there that I'm not counting because they wear different hats. But yeah, as far as the group here in Utah, pretty much running the business for the most part, it's 14 people, half of those which are probably customer service or warehouse. So
Sure. I've always thought that that's pretty interesting. You know, people see these giant marketing messages and these really powerful companies that have grown and grown and grown, and it's crazy how small the outdoor industry really is when you take a 1,000-foot view of it. And getting back to what you said about your roles and how you just feel like you're wearing a million different hats, what's your favorite one of those roles? Like if you could pinpoint, all right, I'm going to dive into this niche all week. I have a open schedule. I'm going to tackle this. What's your most enjoyable one of those roles that you had mentioned earlier? What really, what do you love about one of them?
Well, the kind of pie in the sky answer that's not super realistic to do all the time is I get to go on a lot of hunts and hunting trips that are considered work. You know, I'll go hunt with some of our team members, sponsored guys, and I'll do that several times a year, and that does take up a lot of my time, and that's obviously by far the most fun thing I get to do, right? Is basically hunt for a job. But outside of that, I think it's just creating content. So I love just being able to be creative. My Rack Attack show on YouTube that I do is a good example of, I love doing it. I'd love to be able to do that all the time. I love popping in front of the camera. There's a joke from that show where I have like a director's chair that I sit in sometimes, and it says writer, director, producer, star, just kind of like all the different positions, because I kind of do it all myself, and that's because I'm a control freak. But I love wearing all those hats as well, putting the storyline together, the props together, getting in front of the camera, recording, sharing a message with people, interacting with people. I'd love to do more of that. And for the 4 people that actually watch that program and follow it, they probably see that
it's a little more than 4. Give yourself some credit. It's about it's a couple thousand of us that watch it.
Okay, yeah, well, we appreciate that, but I haven't been able to produce as many episodes of that as I'd like. They've been fewer and far between. I'd love to do more of that, but yeah, it's just the juggling gets a little hectic sometimes, and Project A gets in front of Project B, and in a perfect world, I'll get to do more of that, and I think we'll get to that point where it gets more consistent. But yeah, just content creation, working with creators, working with the guys who are doing imagery for us, photo shoots, video shoots, putting together that forward customer-facing content is what is really exciting and fun for me.
Okay. How about the biggest challenge, or maybe the thing that you dread the most about one of those roles? What is the red X on the calendar in which you cringe when you walk through the door?
Well, as fun as it is to execute it every year, the film festival is highly stressful. The Badlands Film Festival we do each year.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that takes a good most of the year to plan, but especially the last few months before it kicks off are just very extremely stressful, trying to pull all the details of that together. That's very much a love-hate thing for me. I love doing it. I love that people love it, but it's a lot of stress and pressure. Aside from that, just a kind of pressure that I think anybody feels in any job. It's just, you're watching numbers and sales every day, right? Sales and marketing go hand in hand together. So it's the pressure of looking at numbers and, can we make this? Are we going to hit that? Is this a success? Was this campaign a success? There's a lot of stress there too. You want to succeed so badly. You want a product to do well. You want to reach as many people as possible. And sometimes you just come up short. So yeah, the part you dread, I guess, is like I said, the more businessy part of it, where I'm sitting in front of a computer going over budgets and spreadsheets and analytics and seeing if what we're doing is actually working, because everything's kind of on the line at that point. I certainly have people I have to answer to and show that I'm doing the right thing and making the right decisions. So it's a stress that most people feel in all their jobs, is just that pressure to succeed. So yeah. Okay.
So would you say that one of one of the most disheartening things, I guess, from your career and your path that you took and your role at Badlands is maybe you roll out a plan or a marketing objective or a goal and you either miss the goal or you don't hit the goal, something like that, or something goes wrong with it. Would you say that's like the worst feeling that you could probably have at work? Just because it seems to me from talking to you and from knowing you for several years now that you are competitive. So I know how bad that probably stings. Would you say that's probably one of the worst feelings?
It is, but I can honestly say it hasn't happened a lot to where we've just had a complete whiff or a complete miss on something.
Sure.
We have a pretty rabid customer base, a very loyal customer base. So we can do a lot of things that we know people are going to love and accept just because they love the brand and they trust the brand. So for the most part, I haven't had to deal with that much.
Sure.
What's a lot more frustrating and disheartening and has been really tough lately is just dealing with things that are out of our control, right? The whole pandemic and the consequences of that we've seen worldwide with supply chains and shipping and logistics and product availability. And it's really just, it's more of those external things that I can't control that really eat at me. I wouldn't call myself a control freak, but I don't like losing control or knowing there's nothing I can do about something. So when something like that happens, that's by far the most frustrating, but you just have to find ways to adapt and get around it and survive.
So in terms of those challenges, in terms of COVID and the global pandemic, do you think the biggest challenge, and I've talked to my buddy before that, like I said, is heavy into a trail camera space, and do you think the biggest hurdle that you guys have had to cross as a company over the course of the last, 36 months-ish has been heavy supply chain delay issues?
Yeah, no doubt. Just complete factory shutdowns, which have put production behind. Shipping and logistics, even domestic shipping here. I mean, train yards were backed up and trains weren't moving from U.S. destination to destination, and just complete stoppages and things completely out of our control where you really don't even have a timeline of when it's going to get better. So, and certainly not past it yet either. So those kind of things continue to go on. And it's the past few years have been tough. But again, it goes back to our loyal Badlands customers and new customers we're obtaining all the time that are just so awesome, that have actually helped us to have some amazing years these last couple of years, beyond belief, great years, which just goes back to hopefully we're building a brand people want to be a part of and use, and they are, because we've weathered the storm, I think, the best we possibly could. We learned to work together as a team remotely, like so many people did. It's been challenging but rewarding at the same time.
And backing up to something you said about 8 minutes ago, in terms of your hunt that you're going on down south, and then you're going to go meet with a bunch of guides, outfitters, stuff like that. One of my favorite parts about Badlands, and I think what really creates a separation, is the pulse on the customer base that you have. In teaching, we call it formative assessment, basically taking the pulse of a class, engaging a student's understanding at any point within the lesson, during the day, during the week, during the month, etc. And I feel like you guys always have had an excellent pulse on your customer base and what we need. For example, I really wanted to get myself a pair of the Rise pants that were long enough, just because I'm 6'5", and I know that I'd send an email to the customer service team, for example, and then lo and behold, about 8 months later, I feel that you guys have those available in a long, tall option. Same with the scree pants. And I feel like you guys are constantly doing things on your end to ensure that you guys are listening to your customer base and altering it accordingly. And so I know that comes with probably a tremendous amount of fluidity on your part, and like you said earlier, ability and willingness to pivot and change direction quickly. But what do you think, and this is one of my most interesting questions I was thinking of, In terms of your products, what has been the product that you guys has stood out to you over your course of the company that customers have like begged and pleaded for, and then now, since you've listened, is just a huge success? Can you think of like a product that fits kind of the bill of what I just said?
Yeah, a couple come to mind. Yeah, I think the first one that came to mind was our Pyre gear, our cold weather whitetail gear.
Yes. Yep.
When we initially launched our whitetail apparel lineup, we had kind of a lighter weight option, and then what we felt were two heavier weight fleece options. And we quickly found out after about one season that we weren't making a heavy enough, warm enough whitetail outfit for colder temps. And I think it came back to we needed to learn more. We started as more of a Western hunting type company, and we're a little naive to the needs of the whitetail hunter. But the more I kind of went out and explored and actually went on hunts, and the more we pinged our customers and listened to feedback, it became very apparent of a hole we needed to fill. So we set out with the goal to kind of overkill it and create something extremely warm for the whitetail hunter. So we developed the Pyre Jacket and the Pyre Bib to the point where, some people do think it's almost too warm, but it became our best-selling piece. We've sold out of it several times and reordered several times. Put a small redesign in there once, and
the low fly.
Yes, exactly.
Thank God.
Yes.
Shit.
And again, that's something where we didn't realize it at first. Listened to some very adamant, quick feedback from people, and added the second fly. So little things like that, being agile, being able to get changes instituted quickly are very important. But the Pyre is a great example of listening to feedback, getting something out in the marketplace, and just seeing it succeed heavily. On the pack side of things, the packs we released this last year, the MRK series, more for the Western hunter, kind of a meat hauling type of frame pack.
Yep.
That MRK2 that we released was probably one of our fastest sellouts ever. It's just an awesome pack. We knew hunters wanted kind of a versatile, do-it-all pack that wasn't too big but could still carry as much meat as they wanted to, and that's what we designed to. And it's frankly just killing it. We're trying to get them back in stock as fast as possible for this year because they sold out way faster than we anticipated. But that was very much based on customer feedback from past products and things they wanted to see. And those are just two examples of things that have pretty much come from customer voicing what they want. And we have some stuff coming later this year that'll be ready for this year's hunt seasons that are is going to fill in another hole in the whitetail world. So,
and I think that I don't concentrate on the packs quite as much. I've got a couple packs, one for work that I actually use at school, and then another one that we use to hunt. But that Pyre suit, and we've preached on our podcast for last 2 years that we've worn them. It is by far the warmest whitetail system that I've ever worn, period. It, like you said, it is so warm. It's got such a high loft, but it's so insulated and warm, cozy on the inside that, during this cold stretch of time that we had late season in Illinois, I went hunting, I think 11 out of 13 days in a row. And over my Christmas break, it was like 0 degrees. One day it was ambient air temperature of 7, but the wind chill brought it down to like minus 35, and I sat out in there in it for about 5 hours, and it's really impressive. And I was really happy to see you guys answered the call for the whitetail hunter with that, and it's just been hugely popular. And I know that's I always kind of, whenever I tell people about the Pyre, they're like, holy shit, well, it's $700 to buy the top and the bottom, blah, blah, blah. And I told them, like, hey, here's the thing. With Badlands, it truly is a buy once, cry once mentality because of your warranty. Like even myself, I've taken advantage of the warranty before. I threw those bib straps into, an ozone bag, and ozone kind of deteriorates the straps, but I sent them back, and within 4 business days, I had new straps on my Pyre bibs returned, and I was out hunting again. And so with Badlands, you guys have that fluid warranty system where if it has the red bull skull on it, you're either going to replace or repair it for the lifetime of the garment. So really, I mean, once you buy the Pyre suit, it's the last warm condition whitetail gear you will possibly ever need for the life of that garment, like truly. And I think that is just, if there was one Cadillac aspect of Badlands and why I back it so hard and why we love wearing it so much, it's just because of the ability for you guys to just absolutely stand behind the product for its lifetime. So kudos to you for doing that, which kind of gets us into our next question. Here's your chance to make a nice little sales pitch to everybody that's listening that hasn't already converted to Badlands. But why should people love Badlands gear? Why should they buy it in the first place? In your opinion, as the head honcho of messaging, the voice.
Yeah. No, it's a great question, and I think it ties very much into that warranty message. I mean, we truly are building world-class equipment, apparel, packs, accessories. We're out there finding the top-of-the-line materials, sewing techniques, finishes that we can put on gear and putting it out there, right? But there's 10 other companies that are going to claim the exact same thing. So how do we stand out, right? So it comes back to that warranty that, again, our founder instilled in Badlands from day one of founding the company. It was, we're going to give people a no questions asked, 100% bulletproof lifetime warranty. We want them to have complete confidence in the gear that they're buying. We know people work hard. They're going to work every day and earning that dollar, and it's not hard to part with that money, especially when, like you said, it's several $100s to get into some sets. So we want them to have confidence that it's not just a purchase, it's an investment that's going to last them a long time. So like you said, bulletproof, 100%, no questions asked, unconditional lifetime warranty on everything we make. It's not just craftsmanship, functionality, it's satisfaction too. So if you're ever not satisfied with something, we're going to replace it with something else to try or refund it. It's just not, we want everybody to be 100% happy with not just the gear, but their interaction with Badlands as a company. So we stand behind it. It keeps our warranty department busy, but not as busy as you'd think. Like we have one gal, Okja, who's just an absolute rock star. She is our only seamstress that does repairs. Every repair on a Badlands product comes through one person for the entire world. She has a nice little room there in Badlands headquarters, and one person can handle every worldwide Badlands repair. She's never completely backed up. So that kind of just goes to show the quality of the gear. We're not getting even enough of it back to repair that one person can't handle that workload, which I think speaks volumes for the quality and for our designers who are doing a great job putting things together. The people who are sewing and building our gear are just doing an amazing job. And we want that customer just to feel ecstatic about their gear and happy and pass on the good word. So that's at the basis of everything we do. We'll preach it forever. It's never going to go away. And we appreciate people embracing it, sharing it with friends and family, and helping us continue to grow.
Yeah, I liked what you said too about the fact that it's not like you guys are just flinging a crappy product onto the market just for a new fad or to ride a new wave or anything like that. Like it speaks volumes about the company that there's, hundreds of thousands of Badlands users worldwide, and the order repair can be facilitated by one person. That means that at the end of the day, is the gear getting beat to hell? 100% it is, but it's not backing down from that challenge, which is awesome.
Correct. Yeah, the company literally would not survive with the warranty we have if we weren't making
quality stuff to begin with.
Quality stuff. I mean, you'd fall apart. You'd be replacing too many items. You'd be losing too many dollars, and it just wouldn't work. We've seen it happen with other companies in the industry and outside of the hunting industry. They have a great warranty, but they go guts up because they end up replacing eight out of 10 products. You can't handle doing that. It doesn't make sense. So
sure.
It forces us to keep our quality at the highest level, which I think is great.
In terms of the gear itself, Blake, what is your favorite item? Or you can pick a group full of items. I think my two are probably the bino systems that you guys make and the Pyre suit. But what's your favorite thing that Badlands creates? And if you would speak a little bit after that about, Badlands, like I said earlier, mostly known for camo, mostly known for packs, but what would be something in your lineup that would surprise a person that didn't know Badlands as a company, as intimately as a person like you or I would? So your favorite pieces of gear, and then what's a product out there that's like, oh, I didn't know you made that. That's cool.
Yeah. It's hard for me to pick like an apparel piece that's my favorite. Mm-hmm. Right now, in particular, I'm really digging our Resist set. It's kind of a mid-weight, super comfortable, stretchy, somewhat insulated, just kind of all-purpose set. We make it in both camo patterns. I've used it out west. I've used it in a tree stand, and it's so comfortable. I find myself reaching for that whenever I can. So that Resist jacket and Resist pant. On the kind of pack and gear side of things, yeah, I really love my Bino XR. I know they're out of stock right now. We're close to getting some back in, but that's become a key piece of my kit, is just having my binos and rangefinder so easily and readily at hand. Mm-hmm. I pretty much have that on, not just when I hunt, but when I scout, when I do a lot of things, I'm wearing that Bino harness, the Bino XR. So those are two things I really love. Something surprising that some people may not know if they're not continually following us is our lifestyle lineup has grown immensely. It went from half a dozen t-shirts several years ago to what it is today. T-shirts, flannel shirts, quarter zips, polos, casual / hunting pants in solid colors. You mentioned the Scree earlier, the Task. We're seeing a ton of people hunt in those solid colors, mm-hmm. but also just wearing them day to day to the office, to work, whatever they're doing. We released our first jean, Levi kind of denim style pant recently. Mm-hmm. So now we have 4 lifestyle pants, flannels, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, beanies, and I'm talking lifestyle, everyday casual wear, jackets. The line has just become very big, and we're continuing to focus more effort on that. We've had people asking for Badlands gear they can wear every day for years, and we're delivering on that now with new pieces getting added pretty much every season. So if people haven't checked out the lifestyle gear for men and women, they should do it. They might be surprised how much is out there that you can put on every day, even when you're not hunting, and still have that lifetime warranty and stylish, very comfortable gear as well.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the first piece that you mentioned, the Resist jacket, right now. Jesse actually was wearing this past season, and some of the funny wordsmithing that you got going on here. So here's the description of the Resist jacket. It's $199.99, so all intents and purposes $200 on badlandsgear.com. So with our discount code, you can buy it for $160, $40 off. But it says, just quit. The truck's a half mile away and it has a heater. It's been a long day and nothing has worked out. There's nothing over that next ridge anyway. Badlands created the Resist jacket to crush those negative thoughts. It's the ideal outer layer for early spring, late fall, and cold. And with the articulated arms, compressible sleeves, and 4-way stretch design, you get incredible performance and maneuverability. Resist the urge to quit, because your Badlands gear never will. So that's just kind of some. So you write all these descriptions and things like that on the website, and it all kind of, like I said, it beats that same messaging, that same drum of a little bit of wit and a little bit of funny attitude like behind it. So I know that I always appreciate it whenever a new piece drops, seeing what the heck you're gonna write on it. But
yeah, I remember sitting down to write that one and thinking about the piece of gear. I usually start with, what is this piece? What was it built for? And yeah, for some reason with that, we had named it Resist already, and I kind of thought what clicked in my mind was, God, I've been on a lot of hunts where it's pretty miserable out and there's not a lot of action and nothing seems to be going right. It's so easy to say, nobody's making you be out there, right? You're on your day off or your vacation. You're choosing to be out there, and a lot of times you're thinking, what the hell am I doing? Like,
right,
I could be back to my truck in 20 or 30-minute hike, and I could be back to my house in an hour and having a cold drink with my feet up and watching the game or something. Like, it's so easy to quit. But yeah, this piece was all about resisting that urge. Your gear is going to perform. If you want to keep going, it's up to you to actually make that decision to go. It's the gear's there. Do you have the mentality to keep going? So,
I know one of those lesser well-known pieces of gear that Badlands makes that I'm going to take advantage of this year is called the Artemis. So I'm going to buy myself a new mountaineering tent for my backcountry fly fishing trip I take every year to Wyoming. So I'm going to go and get the Artemis, probably the 2-man, just because I won't have enough space for my gear to stay inside the tent with me. But I'm hoping that the 12 or 15 people that end up going out there with me are like, hey, where'd you get that tent? And then I can hook them up with, point them in the right direction of that. So I'm really excited to get that
those
tent.
Artemis tents. They turned out really well. I love that 2-man for myself. I can put myself and a bunch of gear in there, use it on a lot of hunts, a lot of camping trips. It's super durable and tough. And then we just added to our camping lineup this year with a ground pad, a inflatable seat, and an inflatable pillow. So yeah, expanding our camping category has been a lot of fun as well.
All right. Well, where do you think, this is just kind of a side tangent here, real quick, Blake. What gives the ideas, like the ideation, the creation process of some of these things? Do you have like a little notepad? You're like, expand camping line ? Like, how do these things come to fruition? Is it you that dream them up, people at Badlands on staff, customers that request it, kind of all the above? What's the process like that for legitimate product creation and development look like? Because that's something I'm totally ignorant of, and I have no idea how that really works. If you want to speak on that, and then we can get away from Badlands for a second and get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's very much all of the above what you said. I mean, everybody at Badlands is super passionate about hunting in the outdoors. So if anybody has an idea about a piece of gear that either we're missing or we can improve on, they're encouraged to kind of voice that to the team. Like I said, I'm over product development as well, so I take those ideas to our designers. We have a gear designer who does kind of packs, bino cases, accessories type stuff. And then we have an apparel designer. So I work very closely with them to find the holes in our lineup. Our sales team is integral in that as well. Our national sales manager, our overall sales manager, they're always just listening to the customer, to the dealers. We love our independent dealers and our big box dealers too throughout the country that stock our gear. I mean, what's working for them? What do they want to see on their shelves? What are we missing? What can we offer? So it's kind of just taking all that feedback, the customer voice. I mean, we get emails every day. We get product reviews every day. It's compiling all that, making it make sense, and then really picking and choosing what we can add. As much as we'd like to be able to create 100 new products every year, we have to temper our expectations to what we can actually accomplish. And it's pulling out those gems. What's gonna help the business? What's gonna move the most? And what's gonna help people the most? And those are kind of the products we focus on and develop. The gear that's coming out later this year, kind of a sneak peek for your listeners, is called our Silence gear, SILENS, and that's our new Whitetail line that is 100% silent fleece. So it's going to be not quite as warm as the Pyre, but close, and 100% quiet, super soft outer fleece. And that'll be a jacket, pant, bib, hoodie, and vest. So an entire line coming there. And again, that was listening to the customer that loves the Pyre, plenty warm, but wanted just a little bit quieter outer fabric. To this hunter, silence was absolute number one for them.
Sure.
So we listened, and that's the line that we're coming out with this year. We're super proud of that and excited to launch that. So again, I'd say customer feedback is number one as far as our designing goes, and then internally, just what do we want to make? What's going to be fun, and what's going to change the hunting world?
That is that I'm very excited to play around with some of that stuff, and really excited for that to launch. And I do feel like, the Pyre itself, it is extremely warm, but when you tend to develop any garment, I've noticed with a waterproof exterior, you're kind of giving up some breathability, and that tends to be, or mean that the outside is almost going to be like a crunchy, like a rain and wind breaking type of texture and surface.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that you guys are, again, listening, coming to the call of the customer, and backing what they say and staying behind it by developing, what's going to be for sure another great lineup for Badlands. So another kudos to you on that, man. But
thank you.
Another interesting question. What gets you fired up? What grinds your gears, however you want to take it, about outdoor marketing and messaging? Is there anything that makes you like cringe? Is there anything that you're like, what the heck are they doing that for? Is there any like pet peeves that you have that you're like, we are not doing that? What's your off the cuff thought on that question?
Yeah, I don't think there's any one particular thing where I look at it and I get super cringy. I try to stay positive and not really degrade anything that anybody else is trying to do. I think for me, there's some messaging out there that does make hunting feel too unreachable and too elite to the average person. When a company gets so like fitness related that every person they're showing is at peak fitness and running up the side of a mountain with a pack on or an animal strapped to their pack, and just making it look so difficult that it can almost be a negative to the average person who may want to hunt or get into hunting or try a different style of hunting. It maybe just deters them a little bit to, that just doesn't seem obtainable for me.
Sure.
Any kind of messaging that kind of excludes somebody or makes them feel like they can't do it, I'd say is what kind of it would be my pet peeve. Again,
Sure.
We try to make hunting seem fun and obtainable, because it is. I mean, there's no reason any person can't go chase whatever they want to chase if they put their mind to it. So we want to support that mindset rather than make it feel too elitist, I guess would be what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's a heck of a good point with that. I myself, I've never really thought about it that way, but I mean, if you're marketing a product that's an entry point to the outdoor industry, you gotta have your body regulated and controlled, which is directly, influenced by the camouflage and caliber of clothing you're wearing, I guess, when you're out in the elements, if there is any elements to speak of. That's a good point. So you don't want to be exclusionary with any of your messaging. And like I said earlier, it almost feels like some companies, and I get it, like hunting is kind of it's a gritty activity. Like a person that's going to go down a rock slide in, Saskatchewan or BC or something like that after a ram or something that lives high above tree line, like it's a badass, like it's hard on your body. I understand that, but I do feel like a lot of companies get into the weeds a little bit on exactly what you're talking about in terms of kind of deterring a person from even wanting to enter the space before they even get there, just by the messaging that they're rolling out. So that's a heck of a good point.
Yeah.
In terms of some would you rather questions, I got a list of them here, and before we get into them, do you have anything else you wanted to add about your journey at Badlands, your message to customers, anything that you want to leave them with before we get into these would you rathers, and I'll let you go.
I think just kind of reiterating just my personal story a little bit of not being afraid to try new things, whether it's hunting or something completely different. I mean, I never thought I'd become a hunter, and here I am 10 years after I've started, and it's kind of all I think about, and most of the things I look forward to are hunt related. So you never know what's going to grab you and become a passion. So don't be afraid to try new things, even if it is later in life. There's so much information out there available now, even if you don't have a mentor who's available to help you with whatever it is.
Sure.
There's videos, there's tutorials, there's a lot of information out there that people can grasp and take advantage of it. And then career wise, again, kind of a similar thought, like don't be afraid to pivot. Just because you went to school for one thing or had a vision of you doing one thing, don't be afraid to have an open mind and pivot if an opportunity presents itself, because it might be the best thing you ever did, and you just don't realize it until you take that leap. That's
some great wisdom right there for you guys. So I totally echo that, and I really appreciate you saying that, because that is your story is very inspirational for people that are, maybe questioning their path or, having a tough go of it, and trying to pave out and find that vision for you where you want to see your life. And like you said, that I thought was awesome was, you never really know what your end destination is going to be until you get there, and you don't want to miss out on what could be a really cool life-changing journey just by being closed-minded. So again, I thought that was one of the coolest parts of your story. So on to some would you rathers, Blake. I have 7 of them here for you. The first one, would you rather kill your biggest whitetail ever with a rifle this upcoming season, or shoot your 3rd biggest whitetail ever with a bow this coming season? Which would you rather do?
I'd go with the bow. Honestly, I just, there's something about bow hunting for me that just propels it to a whole different level. So yeah, I'd go with the bow on that.
Okay. Would you rather, in this next upcoming season, hunt mule deer or elk? Any unit, any state, finances, draws, that's no obstacle.
Yeah, that one's easy for me. That's elk. I've been on a number of elk hunts unsuccessfully. I've had my heart ripped out on elk hunts before by being so close.
Yep.
And I've killed a couple mule deer with my bow. So yeah, I'm yet to kill an elk, and I'll actually have a good chance this year with a good Montana tag I should draw. So very optimistic, but yeah, that's an easy one for me. I got to get that first elk under my belt.
Okay. I'm going to change my next question a little bit here and see how bad you want that elk. Would you rather eat tag soup on your Montana elk tag? Write this down. Would you rather eat tag soup on your Montana elk tag or have half of your left pinky toe be removed?
Ooh.
What do you think about that? Maybe like a freak chainsaw accident. Just zip the
of my left pinky toe removed. So if I cut the toe off, I'm harvesting a bull.
Yes, that's the give and take. Yep.
Oh, that's a great question.
But it's your left, and I'm assuming like 90% of Americans, you're right-handed kicker and right-handed. Is that correct, or are you a lefty?
No, I'm right-handed. So I was trying to think back to, I heard some stat one time where there's certain toes you need to be able to balance and some that don't matter. But yeah, if it's half of it to the knuckle.
Yeah, to the knuckle.
Do I have to feel the pain of getting it removed, or is it just gone?
Does that influence your answer?
I'm kind of a wuss. I don't want to get it clipped off with some like
shears,
yard scissors. Yeah.
Okay, let's say that.
Yeah, take the toe. It's fine. Yeah, I got to get this bowl. Take the toe.
Okay. This is not a would you rather question. It's kind of just an interesting question that I wanted to ask you because you've been in the industry for, a long ways now. Like many would call you a journeyman of the industry because you've been in it for so long. Just because it's a tricky little industry,
For sure.
If you had to jump ship on the camo/pack sector that Badlands was in, and jump to another sector of the outdoor space to market it in, what space would you want to give a shot? What space looks interesting to you, and why would you pick that space?
You said outdoor. Is that anything outdoors or just hunting?
Let's go for anything outdoors. That's fine.
Yeah. Shoot, that's another good question. God, it sounds really weird, and it's especially weird because I've never done it, and I'm fairly scared of sharks. But surfing intrigues me for some reason.
Interesting.
I know it's really weird. That's really weird, and I have a fear of even getting in the ocean with sharks. But yeah, there's something about surfing that kind of intrigues me, and I don't exactly know what it is or why, but it just always has. And that I don't even know how big of an industry that is, but I think it'd be fun. Maybe it's the thought of like you're working on a beach, like sanding surfboards in a warehouse and watching waves crash. I don't know, but maybe might be more of a fantasy than a reality, but I don't know.
Okay. What if we pivot the question and just target the hunting industry specifically? If you had to jump to another product category of the hunting industry, what one intrigues you the most there?
I think it'd be fun to work for a bow company, honestly. I mean, the innovation and kind of the things that they're dealing with year to year, I think it'd be cool to be a part of. Feels like a lot of pressure. Like, it's weird how we've got to a cycle now where every year every company has to release a new bow.
Yeah.
Even though the technology is top notch right now every year, it's like if you don't have something new, you're not on
not doing it
par.
right.
So
yeah.
It seems very high pressure, but I think it'd be a lot of fun to just be able to test bows, develop bows, kind of try to innovate that industry where it feels like there's not a lot of room to progress or innovate, but somehow every year they do. I think that'd be a really fun challenge to be a part of.
Okay, well said. I got to know now because you said bow. Which company of the major archery manufacturers would you most want to work for if you had the opportunity? Which message do you like the most, or which do you think that would intrigue you the most to jump a part of? So, like, you got Elite, Matthews, Hoyt, Bowtech, Expedition is in the mix there, PSE, Bear. Which one intrigues you the most in terms of the fit for your skill set on their team?
Yeah. You didn't mention the bow that I actually shoot currently, which is a Prime.
Oh, dang it. I forgot Prime. Prime does make a hell of a good bow.
Yeah. As far as working for a company, that's really hard to say. I mean, that's very much culture based and things, which is part of the reason I shoot Primes. They just have an awesome group of guys there that I get along with really well, and they seem to have a fun company culture. So that would be definitely near the top of the list. The problem there is they're in Michigan.
Yes.
Obviously Hoyt is here in Utah, so I'd be able to keep my roots pretty close, and they run a hell of an operation as well and put out some amazing products. So I'd have to go with one of those two.
Okay. Getting into another question that's not really a would you rather. What's your dream hunt, and why do you consider it that? Is it your Montana bull, or just killing any just nice mature big bull?
Yeah, right now that's the dream. I mean, that might change in the future, but it just looms so heavily over me right now to get that first bull. That, yeah, getting my first bull with a bow is definitely the dream right now. But I certainly have aspirations to go on some of those more kind of not extreme, but just kind of hunts that people dream of. I'd love to go do like Alaska caribou or something. Or
me too. That's the top of my list as well.
Yeah, I love to travel and see new places, so I'd like to get out there to some places I haven't been before and experienced, and try a different type of hunting and a species I don't know that I've ever seen in the wild on the hoof, like a caribou outside of a zoo or something. So that's definitely on the list. But yeah, that bowl is just looming so much right now that's the dream, to feel what it would be like to put one of those big boys down.
Sure. How about mule deer? Let's talk mule deer for a second. You have killed several. Would you rather, at this point in your career, hunt mule deer in a desert terrain or a high country terrain scenario? What do you think about that?
I'd like to try some more of the desert type. One of the ones I killed here in Utah was killed out in what they call the West Desert Unit. So a lot lower elevation, more kind of shrubs and hills than mountains. So I did experience that a little bit, and it was a lot of fun. But most of my time mule deer hunting, has been spent up in our higher mountains. A lot of trees, a lot of brush, a lot of thick stuff, high elevations. So I'd love to do more of the desert style hunting. I've never gone down to like Nevada or Arizona to try it down there, and done some of that true kind of arid condition type of hunting. I think that'd be a lot of fun and a cool challenge for sure.
Okay. The last one I have here, would you rather be bitten by a rattlesnake or gored by a whitetail buck? Both are non-vital, non-life threatening, but
non-lethal.
Non-lethal. What do you think? Which is a cooler story? I think being gored by a buck is probably a cooler story than a rattlesnake. But
yeah, I think I'd go rattlesnake. I think there's just something about getting bit by a rattlesnake that seems kind of like badass. If you're getting gored by a whitetail buck, you probably
might be an idiot.
You probably might be an idiot. You either walked up on one that you weren't sure that was dead. You're not going to sneak up on one, right? So
yeah, that's a good point.
It's injured, and you made a bad call or decision. I guess if you were rescuing like two locked up bucks, or maybe you'd have like a nice, noble story of you trying to save them. That would be pretty cool. But any idiot can walk up on a rattlesnake and get struck through no fault of their own. So, and it sounds pretty badass to say you got bit by a rattlesnake. So I'd probably go with that one.
Okay, well that brings us
and it's a distinct possibility. I mean, around here and the places I hunt, there's rattlesnakes all over. So I mean, it could happen.
That brings us to the ultimate question, Blake. If you had to do something completely other, this is marketing aside.
Mm-hmm.
It can transcend any industry you want. If you had to pick a pivot right now, and Badlands calls and lets the faculty, knock on wood, this doesn't happen on Monday, but they say, hey, you guys, we've had a good run, we're shutting the company down. What would you do in terms of what is intriguing to you? What thing would you feel like you'd have a good skill set for, marketing or not? Maybe you're like a fireman. I don't know. What do you think about that one?
I actually wanted to be a fireman growing up. My dad was a lifetime firefighter, and my older brother's a firefighter. So that was kind of the younger thinking when you're a kid. Everybody wants to be a fireman or a cop, but
Sure.
No, not that anymore. I'd as hard as it would be, and probably nearly impossible to break into. I'm a huge Marvel nerd, so all the comic books and stuff like that. So. And I'm a huge kind of movie buff, so I'd love to try to break somehow into movie production. If I could get into Marvel Studios at any level, any position, and try to work my way up, but I might give that a go. I'll go sweep floors and see if I can't work my way up and get to do something cool there. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
You have a pretty badass big old tattoo on one of your sleeves, right? For those of you guys that don't know what Blake looks like, you're pretty tall, pretty big dude with a lot of tats on. Do you have two sleeves Or do you just have one sleeve? Do you have a sleeve and a
Yeah,
half, or?
I have half sleeves on both arms. Yeah.
And one of them, you got like a Thor on one, don't you?
Yeah, they're both comic book themed. One is a full big portrait of Thor with his hammer and lightning, and it's very very detailed. It was about a 42 hour sit for that one.
Holy shit.
Over 3 days. I did three 14-hour sits for that.
Whoa.
The other sleeve is also comic book Marvel related. I took superheroes that I loved and turned my family members into the superheroes. So my wife, it's my wife's face on Black Widow's body, which is awesome. And
That's awesome. That's
my
cool.
son, my son used to dress up as Captain America every single day when he was like 3 or 4. So I took a photo of him in that costume and tattooed that on there. And then my daughter is a superhero, and Big Daddy Thor is up above all of them, and I created it like to look like a comic book, so it reads like a comic with captions and all our faces on it. So I had a lot of fun designing that and having somebody tattoo that on me. So yeah, I love the Marvel world, and mostly it's because that's how me and my son bond. We both love it, so we go to every movie together. We collect collectibles together, and it's really our main bonding thing that we do together. So it means a lot to me.
That's pretty cool, man. I'd seen a couple posts on Instagram from your account about your tattoos and stuff like that, and that's a pretty cool to learn the meaning behind them. And now that you've said that, though, I've got to ask: is Thor your favorite Marvel superhero? Or
yeah, by far. And it's one of those things where you can't even really explain why. It's just, I don't know. It's cheesy and stupid and corny, I know, but just from the first time I read about that character and then saw it come to life in the movies over the years, it's just, something speaks to me and relates somehow, I guess. So by far my favorite is Thor. I've got a whole wall of collectibles that I've spent way too much money on, and hopefully will pass down to my kids someday. And but yeah, we love the whole universe. We went to Disneyland about a month ago and went to the Avengers campus, and just love doing that stuff with him, especially, and bonding with him over that kind of thing.
Okay. Well, I just want to reiterate, thanks for coming on today. Thanks for letting me ransack about an hour and a half of your time on a Friday afternoon. I really, really appreciate it, your flexibility and willing to make this happen, because people are going to really enjoy hearing the story of you, who is definitely the voice and the kind of brain behind Badlands over the last decade. So thank you again for doing that. Anything on your end that you want to announce, leave the listeners with before we get off here today?
No, just a big thanks to you as well, Grant, and the Last Breath crew. It's been a ton of fun working with you guys, getting to know you guys. We noticed right away that your style matched ours. You guys are about having fun and not taking yourselves too serious all the time, but still putting in a lot of work and hunting hard. So that's why we enjoy working with you guys. And no, as far as the brand goes, keep your eyes peeled for new gear coming this year. We have 2 new Whitetail packs coming that are super cool. That whole line of Whitetail gear, and then, like I said, a whole bunch of lifestyle stuff dropping and filling in some holes. So keep everybody's eyes peeled on badlandsgear.com. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Thanks again for having me on, man. I loved every minute of it. I love chatting about the industry and hunting and gear and Marvel and everything. It's just a great time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. I'll leave you with that. Have a good weekend, and I will talk to you really soon.
Sounds good, buddy. Thanks.
Yep, no problem. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. The man, the myth, the legend, the voice, the brain behind Badlands, Mr. Blake VanTussenbrook. If you guys don't already follow Badlands on social or anything like that, I would suggest doing that. That's where they update and have all their gear drops and stuff like that when new gear is rolled out. And it's just a great company. I can't reiterate it enough. They are the presenting title sponsor of our podcast. They back us. We think they make exceptional gear. and they back it. They put their money where their mouth is when it counts. So I've been excited to do this episode for a really long time. And like I said at the beginning of the year, one of my goals for the podcast this year was to get many more guests on. So in the spirit of that, I have scheduled a time for John Hafner, my whitetail turkey photographer contact, to notch out some time. So if you don't follow him on social media yet, I would. I think he's the best period turkey photographer in the industry, no holds bar. Chris Hood's going to be coming on soon, as well as Corey Jacobson, master elk caller, 14-time national elk calling champ. So thank you guys again for listening. The last update I'll leave you with here is the Last Breath launch party is, again, soft book, Adler Theater, Davenport, Iowa, August 5th or 19th. Both of those are Fridays. The 5th is the first Friday. The 19th is the third Friday. We're working on which date better serves the need for us and for the Adler, but it will be one of those 2 days. So launch party going to be in August this year, either the first or third Friday. Till next time, I will see you guys later. Thanks for listening, and don't waste it.